The day I fought the HOA on my own lake and won their marina. The sheriff's deputy fumbled with his handcuffs as Helen Carver, the HOA president, shrieked, "Arrest him!" I stood waist-deep in the chilly waters of my private lake, my fishing boat bobbing innocently beside me. It was 6 a.m., the air thick with the scent of pine and morning mist, when Helen stormed down my dock, her manicured finger jabbing the air inches from my face. "Trespasser," she spat, her voice echoing across the still water. My waders dripped as I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Ma'am, this is my property," I said calmly, though my heart was pounding. "Not anymore," she snapped, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "You're under arrest for illegal boat launching." The cuffs clicked around my wrists as my neighbors peeked from their decks, phones out, filming the chaos. The smell of Helen's overpowering perfume mingled with my coffee and the lake's earthy tang. But here's the twist. 10 minutes later, I owned her precious marina. How did a quiet widower like me end up outsmarting a power-hungry HOA tyrant? Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. My name is Tom Hargrove, and 3 years ago, I lost my wife, Ellen, to cancer. We'd bought this lakefront property in Willow Creek, a serene slice of Michigan, 15 years back, as our retirement dream. 12 acres, a private lake, full water rights. It was our sanctuary. Every morning, Ellen and I sipped coffee on our dock, the loons calling, waves lapping against the sun-warmed wood, her rose-scented shampoo blending with the pine air. Those moments kept me grounded during her final months. After she passed, my daily fishing trips with my German Shepherd, Max, became my lifeline. That 12-foot aluminum boat wasn't just a vessel. It was my way of holding onto her memory. Enter Helen Carver, the HOA president who could make a sunny day feel like a storm. 6 months ago, she seized control of the Willow Creek HOA like a general claiming a battlefield. Picture a sharp-tongued 55-year-old in designer suits, driving her gleaming white SUV like a tank. She was the type to fine you for breathing too loudly. In her first week, violation notices tripled. $200 for Christmas lights past January 2nd, $150 for a dog barking at noon, $50 for a garden gnome facing the wrong way. I kept my head down, my property pristine, and paid my dues early, hoping she'd tire herself out. I was wrong. The trouble started with a certified letter on a rainy Tuesday. Official HOA letterhead, Helen's looping signature, and a $500 fine for unauthorized watercraft storage that violated community aesthetic standards. My dock, the one I'd built with Ellen's blessing, was suddenly common HOA property. The letter, reeking of cheap perfume, claimed my boat launch threatened the neighborhood's premium market positioning. My blood boiled as I sat at my kitchen table, Max snoring at my feet, my coffee going cold. This was the same dock I'd used for 15 years, the one neighbors borrowed when their ramps needed repairs. Old Mrs. Clara Thompson next door still waved at me every dawn. But Helen had declared war. Her hypocrisy stung the most. Her modern mansion, built after she raised a historic cottage, featured an imported sand beach and a concrete seawall that broke every lakefront rule she claimed to enforce. Yet my modest wooden dock was the community crisis. I called her that evening, hoping to reason. "Mrs. Carver, there's been a mistake about my dock," I said. "No mistake," she replied, her voice icy. "The board unanimously agrees your dock undermines property values. Remove it in 30 days or face penalties." When I mentioned my deed's water rights, she cut me off. The HOA supersedes individual claims. "Don't call again." The line went dead. 3 days later, a notice was taped to my door, reeking of her perfume. An emergency HOA meeting was set for Thursday, mandatory for waterfront owners. The community center was packed with 40 neighbors, the air heavy with burnt coffee and tension. Helen stood behind a folding table like a judge, her nephew, Brian Carver, a nervous lawyer, at her side. She accused my dock of encroaching on HOA waters, unveiling a fake survey claiming my property line ended 15 feet short of my dock. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I stood, unfolding my 2009 survey and deed, which showed my water rights extended 200 feet well beyond my dock's reach. "These documents say otherwise," I said, placing them on her table. Brian paled, whispering to Helen, whose jaw tightened. Surveys evolve, she snapped, but her confidence wavered. Mrs. Clara, my 78-year-old neighbor, stood up. Jake's dock was here before this HOA existed, she said. My husband and I watched him build it. Other longtime residents nodded. Hell, Tom let us use his ramp last summer, called out Jim Larson from across the lake. Helen's composure cracked, red blotches creeping up her neck. Personal favors don't set legal precedent, she hissed. Her nephew added that the HOA's insurance excluded unpermitted docks, playing the fear card. The meeting ended with her ultimatum: remove my dock in 30 days or face legal action. The next week, Helen escalated. A security guard, her son-in-law, Kevin Walsh, a soft-spoken guy in a crisp uniform, started patrolling my dock daily, clipboard in hand. Yellow "No Trespassing" signs sprouted around my shoreline. Kevin, you know this is my land, I said one morning, coffee in hand. He blushed, mumbling about certification and Helen's orders. It was absurd to hire family to harass me using HOA funds. Meanwhile, I dug through county records. The smell of old paper and copy machines my new routine. That's when I hit gold. County Clerk Mary Peterson slipped me a folder. Look at this, Tom, she whispered. Helen's HOA election was invalid, no certified mail notices, no return receipts, half the community uninformed. Her presidency was a sham. Then I found the 1994 Lake Covenant, guaranteeing all original owners perpetual lake access, including boat launches. The real bombshell? Hendricks Marina's lease had expired in 2022, reverting the property to county control for unpaid taxes, about $12,000. My retirement savings could cover it. The next tax auction was Friday. Helen's next move was bold. She offered Bill Hendricks, the marina operator, $50,000 from HOA emergency funds for exclusive access, aiming to lock me out. But emergency funds required board approval and proper notice, neither of which she had. I rallied allies. Mrs. Clara shared photos from 1995 showing multiple boat ramps, proving shared access was the community's foundation. Jim Larson and 7 other original owners formed our legacy alliance, armed with their own deeds. I hired Laura Bennett, a lawyer known for dismantling rogue HOAs, who called Helen's violations a legal buffet of stupidity. Friday's tax auction was my moment. The courthouse smelled of coffee and wax, the room half empty. Commissioner Diane Foster announced the Marina lot, $12,347 in back taxes. I raised my hand. No other bidders. Sold to Mr. Hargrove, Diane declared. 5 minutes, and I owned the marina. Helen's plan collapsed. She couldn't buy access from a property I now controlled. Her response was frantic. She tried hiring Laura to block the sale, screaming about conspiracies when Laura refused. Kevin showed up at the marina, clipboard in hand, claiming to inspect my docks. You're trespassing, I told him. Bill Hendricks, the marina manager, laughed. This man owns the place now, kid. Helen herself stormed in later, her heels clicking like gunfire. This fraudulent sale won't stand, she raged. I smiled. The county's happy with their taxes, Helen. Good luck. Saturday, she tried a softer approach, offering to drop my violations if I shared marina access. I played along, sensing a trap. Sure enough, her nephew Brian later warned Laura that Helen had recorded our talk, editing it to paint me as an extortionist. But Mrs. Clara caught the doctored audio at an HOA meeting, calling it out mid-session. I taught English for 35 years, she said. I know editing when I hear it. The final showdown came at Helen's emergency meeting, the community center packed with 60 neighbors and a local reporter. Helen accused me of extortion and played her fake recording. I stood, laying out the 1994 covenant, her invalid election, and her illegal fund use. My unedited recording exposed her lies. Commissioner Diane entered with a deputy, serving Helen a cease and desist order for harassment. Her face went purple, her accusations unraveling as neighbors turned against her. She resigned by Monday, blaming a community conspiracy. The marina became my triumph. I offered Bill a profit-sharing deal, and he upgraded equipment with a grin. We restored free access for original owners, and I launched the Ellen Hargrove fishing program, teaching kids to fish every Saturday. The lake came alive with laughter, splashing lines, and Max letting kids pet his fur. Property values rose 15%, and the new HOA board slashed violations by 70%. Neighbors talked again, barbecues replaced tension, and the lake reflected a healed community. I still fish at dawn, Max at my side, telling Ellen about the kids learning to cast or the friends we've made. The Marina's success isn't the county's tourism award, it's the kids' joy, the families reconnecting, and a community that stood together against tyranny. What's your story? Have you faced petty tyrants or injustice in your community? Share your thoughts below. Do you think standing up like this is worth it? Or does it risk too much? Let's debate what justice really means when power gets out of hand.